All right. Happy Tuesday, folks. I know we usually meet on Monday, but we're making it a two for Tuesday. And that's pretty appropriate because I think it's 2 weeks left in the Utopian Baseball Universe, Joey.
Yeah, we've got 13 days left. Each team with, depending on if they played yesterday or if their series kicks off tonight, 11 or 12 games. Our regular season ends on the I think it's the 26th of September, because then our postseason kicks off on Wild Card Wednesday. A quadruple header of wild card games with the third place team in each division visiting the second place team in each division. And then, of course, the winners would face the regular season division champions in divisional championship series, which would then kick off on Friday. So it's going to be a fun finish to the season. Just like last year, it's going to be all division games to finish off. We had 9 games last night. We've got all 32 teams playing today. No Xbox today. We're going to have a late night Xbox game tomorrow between the Blue Jays and Red Sox. They're separated by 3 games in the East. Thursday night, we're going to have our final Board Ninjas woodworking game where we simulate a game using a board game that John Boyd created. He's a member of the Utopian Baseball Univirse. We do about one of those a month, so that's going to be at 6 o'clock Central on Thursday. And then this weekend is going to be another big weekend. We're going to have 4 Xbox streams this weekend with a double header coming up on Saturday.
And is it? You mean double header, meaning 2 teams playing a double header, or just a double header back-to-back games?
We're going to have we're actually going to have 2 different games. So
okay.
We're going to do a simulation in the kind of late afternoon, probably 2:30, and then we're going to come back with a 5:30 telecast. And I'll actually announce those games when I have you on the show on Friday morning.
All right. All the more reason for people to tune in on Friday. Quick question. The last day of the season, you said it's going to be on a Sunday. Are you doing it like the MLB where all the games start at the same time, or are you staggering the start times?
So, one thing about the Utopian Baseball Universe, I try to incorporate things that I think MLB could improve on, but there are some things that they get right. And they've been doing this now for about 5 or 6 years. They have all the games started like 2 Central or something like that.
Yeah, it's 3 Eastern, yeah.
And I do the same thing. I did it last year. I did it this year. We're not going to have a Sunday night game. I don't even know. I'm not 100% sure if we'll have an Xbox game. I think if there's if there's still something to be determined, whether it's a division or a wild card seeding, something like that, we might have one game. But we're probably just going to have everything play out at the same time, get the final report in about 5 o'clock that day so that we can set up Wild Card Wednesday. One of my goals, and obviously we don't know any of the teams yet, Cincinnati's the only team that's clinched a postseason berth. Cleveland has a chance to do it tonight, is I want to do a special show probably Monday night or early Monday evening, try to get fans of all the teams that are in the postseason on a special show where they can talk about their teams and, what they got out of the Utopian Baseball Universe, if anything. So that's something I'm planning right now. I don't want to reach out to someone and then all of a sudden their team loses 11 straight or something like that. So as we get closer, I think as teams start to clinch, we'll start planning something special for a couple days before the postseason starts.
You kind of answered what was going to be my next question. My next question was, are you going to have like any preview shows before the playoffs start? It's a 2-day break, and usually if you watch like MLB Network, they'll preview the playoffs. But I think you kind of answered my question with that concept. So that'll be very entertaining. And I guess the more guests, the merrier. It always, I guess, it entertains banter amongst the people who are on the show. So that'll be good.
Yeah, and
So
another thing I want to do too, and we've done this actually. You were on one of these. Is where I get fans of the teams on screen with me during games. So with the postseason coming up, I'm not going to do it for everyone because it's just going to be hard to work out times because there's going to be a lot of playoff games that we're going to play in the morning. So we announced it on the show a couple weeks ago is that we're going to have postseason. Yeah, on days where there's multiple games, it's a very good chance that one of them will be at about 8 a.m. Central. But it'd be good, maybe one around or something like that, where we get fans of each team that can live react to what's going on.
that's good. The one time I was on, it was very it was good conversation, talking about the game itself and other topics. So it makes it very interesting. I'm sure when the playoff games start, it'll be even more appealing to tune in and watch something like that. So looking forward to that. Anything else we should know? Do you usually run? I think we usually run down the weekly leaders on this show, right? Or the
Yeah,
yearly leaders? Yeah.
yeah. So I've got some statistical leaders heading into the last basically 2 weeks of the season. Right now, Bryce Harper has 33 homers. Jeff Bagwell has 32. There's a handful of guys that have more than 30 right now. RBI leader Sammy Sosa has 109. Carlos Delgado has 107. Doubles leader right now, Joe DiMaggio with 39. Willard Brown still leads the universe in triples with 14. Cool Papa Bell leads the universe in stolen bases with 42. Batting average is still Wally Joyner, 341. Todd Helton is actually now second in the universe at 337. Addie Joss last night became a 19-game winner in the universe. So he's the first pitcher in Utopian history to win 19 games. He's got 2 starts left to try to get to 20. It doesn't look like anyone else has a chance because we don't have any other 18-game winners, and nobody has 3 starts left. So it looks like it's going to be Joss leading the league in wins this year. Saves leaders are Bruce Sutter and Tom Hankey with 26. Our strikeout leader right now is Smokey Joe Williams with 207, and I believe he's pitching today. ERA leader is Bob Gibson at 243. So that's what I have right now. And, the stats that I keep, it's not, it's pretty much what I like to call the baseball card stats from like the 80s, your homers, RBIs, batting average. I don't do OPS. I don't do whip. If I did, I would never leave this seat. It would be impossible.
Never say impossible. But if anyone's going to do it, you, not me. I don't have the time for that. I hear you. Speaking of all these great statistics that you're throwing out, now I'm new. I just joined the beginning of this season. Do you have an award show? Like, do you hand out the awards and announce who the award winners are? Do you have an MVP, a Cy Young, et cetera, et cetera?
So, last year we did this group for 61 people. It was just friends and family. There was like 5 or 6 people that kind of found it. Tim St. Clair is a good example. Tim and I actually, Tim joined, I think, in May or June of last year. We didn't even speak to each other on camera till February. We just kind of traded lines here and there last year. But we didn't have like a end of season show. I did hand out awards. We had a most valuable player, most valuable pitcher. I did a league leaders post, but we are going to have a show this year, and the universe will have a say in the winners. Now, I don't know if it's going to be a poll or if I just like mention 5 names and just try to get some reactions. I haven't fully planned it yet, but we're going to do something kind of similar to what we did last year, but it'll actually be on camera rather than just me posting it. Some of the players that are going to be up for that, I know like Bryce Harper is having a monster second half for the Nationals. I think he had 14 homers at the break. He's got 33 now. He's top 5 in RBIs. He's hitting .313. Barry Bonds is having a big year, but he's actually 0 for his last 11 with 7 strikeouts. Willie Stargell's having a big year. Jeff Bagwell. Some players that are playing with for teams that aren't in contention, like Ken Griffey, is having a big year. Sammy Sosa is just 5 RBI shy of a utopian record for RBIs. He's got 109 with 11 games left. Some great pitchers. Jose Rios, 16-4. Old Hoss Radbourne is 17-9 with a ERA under 3. So yeah, we'll do something. I'm sure we'll do something, whether it's going to be a show or some sort of polls that are set up. We want to try to make it as interactive as possible.
Now, are there any players out there who are really having really disappointing seasons that have caught you off guard as far as statistics are concerned?
Yeah, actually, I was looking at some of the stats last night. Yu Darvish Yu Darvish was not on a roster to start the season in 2020. It was an oversight on my part. I'm like, I love Yu Darvish. I added him to the Rangers midseason, and he pitched well enough to actually earn an opening day start this year for Texas, and he's 2-15.
Whoa, that's Anthony Youngish.
I know, it's crazy, and it's just the way we simulate. He has not pitched terribly. His ERA is slightly above 4, but he's losing a lot of 4-3 games, 5-4 games. He's not getting shelled. They haven't taken him out of the rotation. He's still in their plans for 2022. But yeah, Yu Darvish is 2-15. Clayton Kershaw has struggled this year. His ERA is actually in the mid-4s. I don't have his record in front of me, but he just hasn't been, the Clayton Kershaw that we're used to. And then as far as some hitters go, I mean, nobody's having like a terrible season, but you're just not seeing the numbers that you would normally see out of the players. And again, it's the way we simulate, and it's the greatest hitters of all time facing the greatest pitchers of all time. Like Babe Ruth has a modest 20 homers. You would expect him to hit 59, 60 homers, but he's got 20 homers. Batting average is about 250. So there's always going to be little oddities when it comes to this because of the way we simulate games, but I like it that way. I don't want it to be chalk. I don't want it to be, Ricky Henderson has 100 steals and Ruth has 60 homers. I want it to, have a different type of feel. I like that some Negro League players that we've added to rosters are having very memorable seasons. Hilton Smith for the Rays, 17-6, ERA top 5. Smokey Joe Williams for the Pirates leads the universe in strikeouts. Willard Brown leads the universe in triples. Cool Papa Bell, top 5 in triples and steals. So I just like the story that we're telling, and I like the fact that it's pretty unpredictable.
I like the fact you have a lot of Negro players in your Utopian Baseball Universe. Do you know what the percentages of what your players are from the Negro leagues in the Utopian Baseball Universe?
Well, it's admittedly, it's probably lower than it should be. What I did was last year when we started, everything was set as far as schedule and what I wanted to do. And then I basically created the rosters like the week before the season started. That was the hardest part. Like, where should Randy Johnson go? Where should Carlos Beltran go? And I only added Satchel Paige, Josh Gibson, and then a lot of the players that did have major league careers, like your Jackie Robinsons, Willie Mays, Henry Aaron's. It wasn't until about August of 2020 that I decided I'm going to add every Negro League Hall of Famer plus Buck O'Neil plus Fleet Walker so that every team is represented. So every team in the universe has at least one. But through books that I've read and research that I've done, I'd certainly like to double that, if not triple that. It just, you don't want the rosters to get too big. You don't want them to look, like NFL rosters where we have 53 guys on the team. We have a themed roster edition that we're going to formally announce in the off season, where we're going to be adding to these rosters. Every year there's going to be changes as players come up in Major League Baseball. We want a nice mix of legends and favorites and current players, but I would say the percentage is lower than what it really should be.
Well, I like what you're doing in that regard, and I like the fact that you have really old school players. I think you have Kid Nichols, and I think it's Kid Nichols' birthday. Happy birthday, Kid, if you're out there.
He's 164.
He's still going strong. I don't think he could still pitch there. At 164, I don't think he'd still have the same stuff he had back in the day.
Yeah.
But I guess my question is, well, not a question, a comment, just in my baseball group alone. I think if you're not a player who was from 1960 to present, a lot of people don't know about you. And I think it's a shame, and I get it how people don't follow these players from the past, but it's so enriching if you just delve back into the history and you can appreciate how baseball has evolved with these players. And like Kid Nichols is the perfect example. I mean, you ask any baseball fan you're going to the Brewer game in a couple of weeks, who Kid Nichols is. I guarantee you 24 to 25 won't know. And someone will say, oh, wasn't he an old-time player, whatever. But if you delve back and see how good these guys were and then follow them in the Utopian Baseball Universe, it's amazing how great these players were at that time for their generation. I think that's something that's kind of missing from today's element, is that people just aren't interested in the history. And I even saw that with the Mets retirement of Jerry Koosman. If the people didn't see Jerry Koosman pitch, they didn't give a shit. Now, I was like a little kid when Jerry Koosman pitched, but I still like the history of the Mets and stuff like that. So
yeah,
it meant a lot to me. And I like that fact that you do that in the Utopian Baseball Universe. You have people from 1900 till 2021 in your Utopian Baseball Universe. Now, here's a weird question I'm going to ask.
Sure.
Is every player in the universe the same age, at the perfect playing age, or in your concept, say 28, 29, 30?
So this is a great question, and I think my answer to it maybe has evolved even in these last 18 months. The idea when I created this is that every player is playing kind of at their peak, but I want to give you an example where maybe that's not the case. So it's random as far as which box scores we're pulling from time to time. I might pull from 2008 one night and 1930 one night. A couple nights ago, I was pulling a box score from like 1982 or 83. And coincidentally, the box score I was pulling for our Red Sox game was the Red Sox game from 1983. And Carl Yastrzemski, who was like 42, 43 years old on that day, was playing, I think he was playing first base that day or DHing. And he had a big hit for the Red Sox. And it just so happened, coincidentally, that whatever he did on that day benefited himself. So, like, in my mind, on that day, we were getting the veteran Carl Yastrzemski. So because this is fiction, this is, Field of Dreams meets fantasy meets, science fiction, if you will. There is no set age, meaning that Ted Williams next year is not going to be a year older than he was this year. If this goes as planned, this is going to last a long, long time, even long after I'm gone. So I try to treat each individual game as its own, or each individual day as its own entity. So when I'm pulling box scores from 1910, it's going to have a dead ball era feel. You can just look at the box scores and see, 2 homers in 16 games, a ton of 2-1 games, 1-0 games. On that day, the time machine is going, to a dead ball era type game. When I pull from 2019, you're going to see a lot of 11-7 games, 6 homers, guys in the 8-hole hitting 400-foot homers. So I love getting that question because I think that the answer is just kind of evolving into Whatever it is we're doing that day is kind of their age. So sometimes you're getting, you know, a rookie type Ted Williams. Sometimes you're getting, you know, the 42-year-old. But, you know, Sandy Koufax, I think his prime, he retired when he was 29 years old. I'm not going to take Sandy Koufax out of the universe 5 years from now. He's, you know, if I'm doing this in 20 years, he's still going to be the opening day starter for the Dodgers 20 years from now. So I like getting that question because it's just kind of whatever that day's feel is.
Oh, that's good. And the good thing is you have a humongous sample size. So it's not just focusing on one era. It is basically utopian where every era is involved. And that's a good thing, too. And I had another question. And because I'm getting old, I forgot what it was already. I was going to say it before I asked this question. Oh, well.
It'll come back to you.
I doubt it. Once it's gone, it's gone. But it was going to be, I meant to, so this was my concept. It wasn't really a question. So I guess in the Utopian Baseball Universe, it's beauty in the eye of the beholder. If you want Dwight Gooden to be 22, he's 22. If you want to be 31 and hanging on, he's 31 and hanging on. But in the perfect Utopian universe, I think in your concept, it would be Dwight Gooden in his prime when he was in, say, 84 to 86 with the Mets, that type of thing then.
Yeah, I mean, it's, you know, there's no Mark Weber, who's a member of this group who does Eternal Baseball. They have a very specific where they take the peak consecutive 3 years, they throw it into a computer and it spits out a result. This is not that at all. This is it's completely random. So like if I'm pulling a box score and I hit shuffle and Doc Gooden gives up 8 runs, you know, we're billing it as, you know, peak Gooden, you know, 21-year-old Gooden, but like on that day, it's possible that he's going to give up 8 runs, and that's just the alternative story that we're telling for that day. It doesn't mean that he's still not Doc Gooden. He's always going to be billed as, you know, a legend, a guy who could have been, you know, one of the all-time greats, not just for the Mets but for Major League Baseball. You know, my goal each day is to present something that hasn't been told before. So like when I look at the idea, and we'll just stick with Doc Gooden since we're talking about him. If, you know, the Mets are playing the Orioles right now. So like if we can get a Doc Gooden, you know, facing a Frank Robinson, that's never happened in Major League Baseball, but it can happen in the Utopian every year. You know, we can have Clayton Kershaw face Babe Ruth, and, you know, for, you know, 20 minutes a night, you look at that and you can close your eyes and picture, well, what would that look like? You know, Babe Ruth would be facing sliders for the first time ever. He'd be facing relief pitchers that can pitch 100 miles an hour. You have Willie Mays playing in Toronto, you know, every other year. You have Joe DiMaggio playing regular season games in San Francisco. You have Ted Williams playing regular season games in San Diego. It's really just kind of for your imagination. And I'm hoping, and I know that a lot of people in the universe get lost in that for, you know, 15, 20 minutes a day, just imagining all these things that are that can't happen in real life happening here every single night.
Well, that's the beautiful thing, because I think at one time or another, every true hardcore baseball fan does imagine those scenarios, imagine what would have happened. Like, you know, typical example. Well, how would Sandy Koufax pitch today? So you're creating that, and people can live, I'm not going to say vicariously, but they can follow it and get involved in what's the flow of the season when something like that happens. So that's a good concept. I mean, it really is. I mean, you're basically taking what people think about it as far as these matchups are concerned and making it reality, and that's a good thing. You should be applauded for that. I kind of ran out of questions. I had a lot of questions today, didn't I? And they were all spontaneous, by the way, Joey. These weren't scripted. You make me think when you talk, and not too many people can make me think when I talk. But it was good. I mean, hopefully I didn't bombard you with too many questions. So I'm out. Question. So is there anything else you want to add about the Utopian Baseball Universe before we move on?
No. Again, we're going to have an Xbox stream tomorrow night. It's going to be a late night show tomorrow, probably about 10 o'clock Central. It's going to be the Blue Jays and Red Sox. They're separated right now by 3 games, heading into this 3-game series. So the Red Sox, with a sweep, could even it up. We've had 3 teams in the East share a part of first place in the last 7 days. The Blue Jays had the lead. Then it was the Nationals. Then it was the Red Sox. Now it's the Blue Jays again. So that's going to be a fun series. And then again, Thursday at 6, Mets or Orioles at Mets. It's actually going to be the Mets' last home game of the season. Jacob deGrom versus Mike Cuellar.
Ooh, nice. Cuellar was very underrated in the 69 season. Everyone talks about Palmer, but Cuellar was the man in 69. I think he actually won the Cy Young. Did he win the Cy Young? I can't even remember. 69 or 70 he won the Cy Young, but he was a great pitcher.
Yeah.
Now, stepping outside the Utopian Baseball Universe, any topic in the real baseball, well, I shouldn't say real baseball world, the MLB world that we sometimes follow. Anything sticking out in your mind there?
Well, again, we always talk about the Mets.
I knew we were going to go there.
Yeah, I'm sorry. It's just they can never figure out Adam Wainwright. There's only one Mets game I can't watch, and that's Game 7 of the 2006 NLCS when Beltran looked at that curveball. So last night I did not have good feelings about it. I wasn't expecting them to lose 7-0 or 9-0 or whatever it was. Still not giving up on the season. Sunday night was, in my opinion, the best Mets game of the year as far as drama and storyline and just everything. Like the Lindor-Stanton. I actually posed a opinion on my personal. It wasn't even. I don't even think it was in the Utopian. A couple days ago, I said, "Hey, MLB needs to regionally realign. Get rid of American League and National League. We need 12 Yankees Mets games a year. We need Cubs White Sox to be a normal thing, not just hey, it's we're doing this once a year type of thing. I just think it would be, and what I saw this weekend was just amazing.
Right. And the fact of the matter is, when you're a Met fan, those are the teams you want to see. You want to see the Yankees. You want to see the Red Sox. You want to see the Phillies. And just regionally, the rivalry, it gets so heated that it would just be amazing if it happened. The only problem I think baseball has with that is, like when the Mets played the Yankees in the World Series, I don't think the ratings were that great nationally. And same thing with the Giants and the A's. They weren't that great nationally when you have a regional World Series like that. But I don't think that's something they need to be concerned about. I think they just need to have the game peak interest 6 months out of the year until the playoffs start. And I don't think that happens now. Like you see, when the Yankees come to Citi Field or vice versa, the Mets go there, it's a different crowd at that ballpark. But people are into it. It's like a professional football game, and where you have 80 a year or whatever like that. Just the enthusiasm at the fan show. Now, I was at last night's game, and there were crickets. All you heard was crickets at the ballpark. There was nobody there. Now I could see it's a Monday night in September, and after the Yankee series, and school's back in session. But if it was the Red Sox or the Yankees or the Phillies, it's more. Even though we have a rivalry with the Cardinals, don't get me wrong, but we're in the playoff hunt. We had to beat the Cardinals. I expect a bigger crowd out there. Now, I enjoy the Cardinal history and seeing Adam Wainwright and stuff like that. But I agree with you. I think you need to have it more regionalized during the regular season to make it more interesting. And just the fact that if the Yankees are playing the Mets, you know how intense baseball in New York would be if they were like in the same division and everything, fighting for a playoff spot. It'd be amazing. It would be amazing. And I agree with you 100% on that. But as far as the Mets are concerned, I was at the game yesterday, and I'm up in the scoreboard now. You don't even need to keep score. They got every stat up there from Baseball Reference, the averages and everything. And I'm looking at the Cardinals compared to the Mets, and I'm saying, we're not even as good as the Cardinals. I mean, you look at the Cardinal lineup, all our averages are 220, 220, 230. Pete Alonso's leading the team in batting with 260. And there's no one even close to him after two. I think McNeil's like 250 something. So the bottom line is the numbers are speaking for themselves. We're just not hitting, period. I mean, when Duran Conforto got hot, and even with their hot streaks, they're only batting in the 220s for the year. So you got to take the whole 162 game schedule, and we just didn't do the job. So it doesn't surprise me. And I didn't think the Cardinals, I wasn't following the Cardinals as close as I thought I should be. And when I went to the game yesterday, I said, damn, this is a damn good team. Arenado, Goldschmidt was smoking the ball yesterday. I don't know if you followed the game. You're probably watching a football game, whatever. But Arenado, Goldschmidt, I mean, even who's the center fielder? Hater, what's his name? I can't remember his name.
Harrison Bader, right?
Harrison Bader.
Yeah.
He's, I mean, defensively, and he puts up the numbers offensively. So just when you think the Mets should be in the mix, you see a team like the Cardinals who are fighting for a wild card. I don't even know if we're as good as the Cardinals. So we need to retool. And like I said, just bring up the guys from the farm system and let it slowly happen in the next year or two. But I still say things are going to be bright and flushing in the next couple of years, just maybe not this year. So, but like you, I never give up. So, all right, you got places to go. It's like, oh my goodness.
No, we're good.
Okay.
I actually work, like I can almost see the building. It's like a 6-minute walk.
Oh, okay. Cool. I don't want to keep you or whatever, but
we're good.
Yeah, good. So if we go to the questions, I'll kind of open up even further discussion. So you want to just hop in there?
Sounds good.
All right. Here is the first question for JB. The one baseball season by a major league player you admire more than any other is. So in the past, in baseball history, is there one particular season by one player you just strictly admire more than any other?
Boy, that's a really good question. I'm not saying this was the greatest season ever, but like as a kid, having the understanding of what Robin Yount did in 1982 as a shortstop, hitting, I think he hit 331, 29 homers, 40 doubles. Whatever he did that year had never been done before or since from that position. Like just the combination of things that we're doing offensively from Yount, and then the fact that 7 years later he wins another MVP at center field. So when I hear a question like that, I always think of something unique. And the first real unique thing that I learned was what Yount did in '82 as a shortstop.
Yount was a great player, and like I said, doing this baseball life, I dig back like on this day, and I've learned a lot about Robin Yount in the last couple of years. He was a beast. I mean, he was a great player. Just doesn't get the publicity he deserves. I mean, he was one of the all-time greats without a doubt. For me personally, I know this is gonna piss off a lot of people, but Barry Bonds, when he was he put up numbers that no one's ever seen before.
Yeah.
I mean, even Babe Ruth probably couldn't even touch him some of those years. And when you get intentionally walked when the bases are already loaded, when do you ever see that? So for me, it's Barry Bonds. I know a lot of people that say, oh, he took steroids, blah, blah, blah. But he was just a great hitter to begin with. So
sure.
But it would be Barry Bonds for me.
Yeah.
All right. Number 2. The one baseball player who, whenever his name is mentioned, brings a smile to your face.
Well, you know what? Because it spreads 2 generations. David Wright. When David Wright debuted, and I forget the year. I think it was 05, 06 ish.
I think it was 04 is when he first came
04?
up, but 05 was like his first big year. Yeah.
So I remember when he debuted, I knew of the name and I knew of the potential. I was actually playing pickup basketball, and I left the game to catch his first start. You know, like it was announced that he's going to start tonight, and I listened to it on the air. He ended up becoming an all-time favorite of mine. He's one of my daughter's all-time favorites. He's just like, I know, like, look, Seaver is the greatest of all time, but Seaver played for the Mets before I was even a fan of baseball. Gooden and Strawberry ended up leaving. David Wright, for me, is, Mr. Met for my, I guess, generation and for my daughter's generation. He just did it the right way. I can see him being, I don't know if he has an official role with the Mets right now, but I see him being a part of a lot of what we're doing for the future. And I just have so many memories. I actually have, when his last game, when he went out to third base and they pulled him in the 8th inning or whatever it was, I have that on my phone and I watch that like once a week, and it always brings tears to my eyes. So I just love everything about him. It's too bad we didn't bring him a championship. But yeah, he's probably the one player that every time I think of him, I just think it just brings a smile to my face.
Yeah, well, he's one of my three, and I have the Holy Trinity with the Mets. Tom Seaver was my first because that's who I followed when I was a little kid. Keith Hernandez is number 2 because the '86 team, which is probably the season I enjoyed the most, was the '86 team. And David Wright is number 3 because he is Mr. Met. Once a Met, always a Met, and he always was a Met. And even when he grew up in Virginia, he was a big fan of Tidewater. He would go to the games there, and he followed the Mets because of Tidewater. So he was almost destined to be a Met, even though he was from Virginia. And he was just everything that's good about he handled himself with grace and dignity. And I always said he's New York baseball's real captain, because sometimes I think he just be a phony. But anyway, but David Wright was the true captain for me in New York baseball, and I just love the guy, his personality. So I'm bored with you there, but it's a 3-way tie for me. So that doesn't kind of answer the question to one baseball player. But David Wright would be one of my final 3 contestants as far as who I would choose.
Nice.
Number 3. Do you own any MLB player jerseys or T-shirts?
So right behind me is my closet. I'm going to get the one that I own for the Mets. I think you'll like this.
All righty. Oh, nice. I have that one too. Classic.
Yeah, this is my only jersey with a name on it. But I bought this. I bought this in 2001. This is or 2002, I think I bought this. It doesn't have a name on it or anything. I'm going to add my name to it at some point. And then I've got a number of I don't know if, for lack of a better term, knockoff jerseys of the Brewers, where some guy locally, you get these ads on Facebook like, hey, get any jersey, any name for like $30. And I said, do you have a Gorman Thomas? He's like, oh, I can get whatever you want. And I was like, oh, this seems shady, but yeah, let me order one just to make sure the quality's okay. And I got a Gorman Thomas a couple years ago, and I gave him the $30. He gave me the jersey. It looked nice coming out of the bag, but not the greatest quality. I don't even wear it anymore. It's just hanging up. But I would love to start collecting jerseys at some point, like really get into maybe even if it's one a year.
Yeah, well, I had women have like a shoe fetish. They buy every shoe that comes out. 5-6 years ago, I was buying every friggin' David Wright jersey that came out, the military one, his All-Star game jersey. I think have 8 or 9 David Wright jerseys. So if my fandom for David Wright is improving through that, then I don't know what is. And then I have a couple of 69 Seaver ones, and I have the Keith Hernandez jersey you have. I also have his batting practice jersey from, I guess, 85 or 83 or something like that. But the Seaver one is tough because, and here, this is something you need to tell me what uniforms they wear in the Utopian Baseball Univirse, because the Seaver one I have is a wool. And if you wear that anytime between May and freaking September, you're sweating your balls off wearing that one. How those players wore those jerseys, I'll never know. That was like wearing a burlap bag when you played back then. And so I only wear that on opening day when I go every year because it's just too damn freaking big and bulky, and it's almost like wearing asbestos when you're wearing that jersey. So how they did it, I have no idea. Number 4, and then we always like to start off with baseball, but now we mix it up with a random sports question. What were the favorite happenings in the first week of the NFL 2021 season for you?
So, I'm a Browns fan, and, you'd probably expect me to say I was disappointed that they lost to Kansas City, but I was really proud of how they played.
Not at all. Curtis Mayfield was fantastic.
Yeah, they didn't attempt a punt till the early fourth quarter with like 8 minutes left in the game. It got fumbled by the punter. They had a couple costly turnovers, but I'm super proud of how they played. I think they're still going to finish 12 or 13 wins in the regular season. But I have to be honest about this. The thing that I enjoyed the most. Now I live in the Milwaukee area. I live about 70 minutes south of Green Bay. So I've grown up. I've seen more Packer games than any other team. I was a big Aaron Rodgers fan when he was drafted, and even coming into his role as the leader for the Packers. But I've seen a change in character in the last couple of years. It's not going to break my heart to see him lose games this year, because I see someone that doesn't want to be the quarterback for the Packers. So I want to see Jordan Love play at some point. He got a chance to play a little bit in the fourth quarter this week, but I'm telling you, if anyone thinks Aaron Rodgers is going to be the quarterback in Green Bay next year, you're crazy. I want to see if the Packers are like 3-3, 4-4, that we just ride out Love, give him an audition for next year, because whether it's a professional sports team, a band, a business that you own, I don't want someone in that band or on that team that doesn't want to be there. And Aaron Rodgers does not want to be the quarterback for the Packers. I don't care what anyone else says. Look at his body language from this past weekend. But as far as my favorite thing, can it get any better than last night, that Ravens-Raiders game? That was just...
Yeah, I didn't see it, unfortunately, but I read all about it. And I want to watch that game. I taped it, DVR'd it, so I'll have it on sometime there in the week. So
it was fantastic. Probably the best opening Monday night game I've ever seen.
Yeah, they used to do double headers. I'm glad they did just one game this year. But Aaron Rodgers has not won the good graces of Packer fans the last couple of years with his actions off the field too, with his comments and how he doesn't want to be there. So, yeah, it's a little bit of a slap in the face. And talk about a slap in the face, they took it on the chin Sunday, and that was one of my picks to go to a Super Bowl. And they were talking about how when you get spanked like that in the first week of the season, I think only one team that lost by more than 19 points made it to the Super Bowls. I mean, it doesn't mean that much, because, anything could still happen. But usually there's a little, what do they say, with a smoke, there's fire. So there could be an element of something to that when they get spanked. And sometimes you just don't recover.
Yeah.
What was I going to say? Oh, the old adage in baseball is if a team gets off to a first 10 games, if they don't win at least 4 games, so if they go 3-7 or worse, they never make the playoffs. I did research on that, and that's true like 90% of the time. So, like, same thing in the NFL. The first couple of weeks are probably the most important ones. They set the tone. So if you go like 0-2, your back is to the wall. But now they keep adding playoff teams, so Packers may still make it in.
Yeah.
All right, number 5. This is just a general question. Name somewhere you went that you would never go back to again. Maybe because it was just the worst experience you ever had. You just didn't like being there. Whatever comes to your head.
I'm going to alienate a lot of people here, but I've been to Detroit twice. And
it's Detroit. It's like Wayne's World, Delaware. What else are you going to say? Detroit. No one has I'm not poking fun at Detroit, but I am. But it's one of those cities you don't say, oh, I'm going on vacation to Detroit. It's just a place. And I went years ago to the old Tiger Stadium there, and it was a great ballpark. But I'm telling you, the area around there wasn't that fun to be around. So, yeah, Detroit is not exactly a place you want to hang out in.
Yeah, I can't even give you a reason why, but the last time I was in Detroit was 2008. We did a baseball trip. We did 6 games in like 8 days. And my favorite destination on that trip was St. Louis. My least favorite was Detroit. I don't know. It just I can't even begin to tell you why. It just I have no ambition to ever return. And plus, they're the only major league park that has that gimmicky strip that goes from the mound to home plate.
I never got that. Didn't the Diamondbacks have that at one time too?
They had it actually from the start of Chase Field till 2 years ago. They got rid of it, so I'm glad that they got rid of it. I had it in high school. I've never liked it. It's almost like it's insulting. Like, oh yeah, this is where the ball's supposed to go. Like,
I never understood why they did that. Never
it looks stupid.
Yeah. Well, that's my 5 questions with Joey, and again, we're going to make this the baseball way of life hour. It seems like, as we're going on 46 minutes. So if any commercial sponsors want to hop on board, please do. But Joey, as always, it was a pleasure. And let's continue the madness and fun on Friday on your site. And again, folks, we're here every Monday at 8:30. Well, today's Tuesday, but we're here every Monday. Unless otherwise notified, you'll be notified if it's not on a Monday. But this week it was Tuesday, but check us out every Monday, and I'm on Joey's site on Friday.
Yeah, I look forward to having you on Friday. It's going to be a really fun show. So again, 7:30 Central every Friday, Stan Phillips on the Utopian Cafe. Normally I'm 7 a.m.s, but I've been having some like sleep and work issues. So cafe is going to be at 5 o'clock tonight. Again, as always, thank you to Stan for having me on the show.
And as always, Joey, a great show, and we'll talk again Friday. Thanks for watching, folks. Take care. Take care, Joey.